till I'm good and done. I'm gonna push it harder, gonna climb up higher. It's like I just can't miss. I was made for this. I show the world I'm stronger, prove it to 'em I'm a fighter. I can't help but win. I was made for this. I was made for this.
Before we actually get into the pool, I'm going to go over what you need. I'll show you the gear set I use, the consumes, macros, and keybinds. There are a few different ways you can set this up, so I'll cover what I consider required and what you can substitute. The other thing we need to talk about is spider manipulation. Before the raid begins, you're actually going to use a priest mind vision to manipulate the spider patrols and stack them together. This makes the outer wing significantly more consistent, and it's something I recommend doing every time. I'll show you how to set that up when we get to it, but for now, let's start with the gear. So on the screen, you're going to see my Outer Wing set. The main purpose of this set is to give you the maximum amount of dodge possible so you don't eat any melees whenever you're passing the Gargoyles during the Outer Wing skip. There's a mix of Tier 3, 2.5, and Tier 2 in this armor set, as well as some weird enchants that you typically wouldn't see, like the dodge percent on my cloak. The only must-have items that you need for Outer Wing are going to be Stealth Boots and the Bear-Off Peasant Collar. I also additionally run the tentacle and I use the rank boots for the increased sprint time. Although I have completed Outer Wing several times while forgetting to actually put them on. So they're not necessary, but they are a quality of life thing that I highly suggest for anybody. Now on the screen, you can see a list of the consumes that you're going to need for this skip. That's going to be one Flask of Petrification, one Lip, one Juju Escape, one Iron Grenade, one GAPP, one GSPP, one GNPP, and one Matchwork Target Dummy, as well as 2 Oil of Immolation. Each one serves a purpose throughout the skip, and some of them are weirder items like the Juju Escape, but you can easily find it on Wowhead as to where to get this item. All of these serve a significant purpose throughout the skip and are absolutely necessary. The only one that you can get away without using is the Juju Escape, but I definitely do not recommend skipping out on the 5% dodge for 10 seconds. It can make or break a skip in certain situations. Now that we covered all of the things you're going to need for the skip, I'm going to go into a little bit of detail as to how the priest is supposed to set up those spider packs in the outer wing to make it a little bit more accessible and increase your success rate. Those spiders, like I said, can be a big problem. So the priest is going to use mind vision and basically jump all the way through into Fairlena's room. Whenever they target the far Acolyte pack, they will be able to type / target spirit, and from that point they are in the outer wing. What I like to do, and what Priest have told me that also set this up for our runs, is that they will use the spirits as base points to render in the mobs to basically get them to stack up a little bit easier. It takes about 20-ish minutes, I would say, to set up. You may be able to do it faster. Personally, I'm not the greatest at it. I just did this for video evidence as to how to do it. Now, typically, once you finally do get them stacked up, you are going to start your pull and have the priest stop mind visioning them whenever they're passing Max's room. Each raid is going to need to adjust depending on where the rogue is typically seeing them, or if you see them at all after you begin your run. Alright, so now that we've covered all of that information, we're actually going to go into how the skip is going to work. We're going to finish off those mobs, and we're going to go ahead and put into our outer wing set with our boots of displacements on. Now, right here, both of these skitter packs will be up with the boots of displacement. You should have no issues getting past them. I like to go through this pathing and fall into this little cubby. And right here, I will explain a little bit more detail. Right here, I actually high rolled with how I would usually move through this. Now, with that being said, what I typically will do is I wait for the skitter pack that you see right there on my cursor. You know that it goes from point A to point B to point C. I will wait till it gets to point C and start going back before I actually cut through, and I will wait until they fully rotate again before I cut into this final cubby over in this direction. But in this video, I did get the high roll, so you're going to see me actually just go all the way through it and have no issues. As we sit here, we're going to be waiting for Fairlena to die so that the door will unlock. Now, notice as soon as she died, I opened the door. One thing I'm going to note here is that there is an issue that if you vanish and you keep walking straight, sometimes these mobs will hit you and break your stealth even though you are in vanish. Make sure you cut a little bit to the left to avoid that happening to you. I'm going to swap to my rank boots to get additional sprint time. Now, with these ghouls, typically these ghouls patrol all the way from here, all the way to the back. You want to try and catch them right here in front of the bridge with a distract. That's not always going to be an option, as you know. All of these mobs are unpredictable. So each outer wing that you do is going to be a whole new experience, a whole new set of issues that you're going to have to go through. And in this case, I'm actually going to just pull these naturally instead of using my iron grenade to initiate the pull. Now, this first macro that I'm going to use, I have everything in a sequential order. The first one that I use is a combination of Sprint Evasion, Juju Escape, and Immolation Oil. I pop this to initiate the pull. That way, none of these gargoyles are actually going to be able to land a hit on me, and I'm basically just trying to zoom past them and make sure that I don't take any unnecessary hits. As you can see here, I noticed immediately that there was the gargoyles tucked into the left, so I went to the right. You're going to need to practice this pathing because again, it changes in every single run. Notice that I'm keeping my distance, not allowing these to actually get a swing in on me. If they were to get even a little bit closer, I would be turning sideways in order not to let them auto hit me from the back. I will then swing into the opposite direction, looking at the next set of gargoyles as to make sure they also cannot hit me in the back. Now, you do notice in that last frame that I do stutter step a little bit. The whole point of that is to allow the mobs to catch up to me so there's not too much of a distance. We'll go into the next section, pulling the first ghouls. Now, when these ghouls make their first swing at me, I will immediately pop my lip. In this lip, I have a combination of my Bear of Peasant Caller and my Vanquished Tentacle of Cthulhu. I will summon both of those creatures in order to give the mobs plenty of things to hit so that they don't start running back. I will then proceed to get in the location, turn to face all of the mobs, and pop my Flask of Petrification. On my Flask of Petrification, I actually have it set to drop a Masterwork target dummy, which is just yet another thing for me to have all the mobs hit, so I don't lose any aggro on any of the mobs that I've collected. And it's at this point that you have basically completed the Outerwing skip and you're waiting for your raid to come by. I stop at this location in particular so that there are no poison bolt volleys. That way, as you can see in the distance, our little mage can pop their invisibility potion and get through to pull some additional mobs. The rest of the raid team will follow behind using rocket boots or a skull of impending doom or a speed potion, worst case scenario, if their boots fail. Now, as a rogue, it is your job to make sure that there are no totems left behind if you're on the Horde, or on the Alliance, you need to make sure all of your teammates get through before you click off the Petrification. And it's at this point that I can feel comfortable enough to click it off and go and collect my body. One last thing before I wrap this up. If you're just starting to practice Outerwing, there are a couple things that can make learning it a lot easier. Potion to Detect Undead is actually really useful early on because it'll let you see the gargoyles on your minimap. Once you know the patrols and get comfortable with the route, you probably won't need it anymore, but it's really a good tool while you're learning. And you don't need a fresh Naxx ID every time you want to practice this. You can practice it in a cleared ID. The mobs out there will respawn, so take advantage of that and get your reps in. I've been doing this for years at this point, and what you've seen in this video is my version of Outerwing after a ridiculous amount of practice, testing, failures, and refinement. It didn't look like this when I started, and there have been a lot of little changes over the years that eventually turned into the route that I use today. I also want to give a shout out to Grumpy and LeBay. Both of them have contributed to Outerwing in their own ways over the years, and I don't think it'd be right to make a full tutorial on this without at least giving them some recognition. So don't expect to watch this once, walk into Nax, and immediately have it mastered. Use the tools I've shown you, practice it in a cleared ID, and when something goes wrong, figure out why and run it again. Outerwing is something I've spent years practicing and refining, so give yourself some time to learn it. Hopefully, this video makes that process a hell of a lot easier than it was when we were figuring this stuff out. Good luck and have fun with it, and try not to die.